All right, we are recording, going live. Well, I'm going to start sharing my screen. Let's see here. Screen share. There I go. And I will start the presentation. Here we go. All right, today's topic is going to be outperforming your competition and giving you some information about listings and how to dazzle your potential listings when you're in a listing appointment with data and knowledge, because so many times agents spend most of their time on marketing and all the things they can do, but about them, what they're going to do with marketing wise. But imagine you're going toe to toe with another agent and they have maybe similar marketing plans on that, but then they dazzle them with statistics, analysis of the market and what's going on with the market. So not just a comparative market analysis, that's good too, but there's some things that we're going to go over today. So I'll just basically jump right into it. So first thing we're going to talk to, I think there's three things, right, Debbie? There's three.
There's four.
Four things. So first is absorption rate. So I could go on for a long time about this, but every agent don't have to memorize this. Feel free to call me. I'll be happy to go over this with you, go through the data. I actually have an appointment today with an agent to go over that with her. So basically what absorption rate is explaining to, over the last, say, these examples, over the last month, how many houses are on the market now and how many sold in the last month. So what that will show you is, the data will show you is how many houses will sell in the next month, how much inventory we have. So example, like in these examples here, if there's 200 active listings, and again, these examples, bigger markets, and not just a city, but 200 active listings, but 210 sold in the last 30 days. We have 200 active right now. That is showing the market that in the next 30 days, we should have about the same amount of buyers. That means we have 1 month of inventory, or less than 1 month. So if 200 sold last month and we have 210 sold last month and we have 200 now, hopefully about the same amount of buyers are going to be out there. And of course, market conditions vary a little bit, time of year varies a little bit, but of course, having properties that are overpriced would definitely hold up a sale. But this gives you an example. And then another thing, like example, if there was 200 active listings right now in, say, a certain city, and only 100 sold in the last month, that means half the inventory would turn over in the next 30 days, which means you have 2 months of inventory. So this absorption rate is a really attention getter, because if you're listening to this right now and you kind of don't really understand it or figure it out, because it took me a while years ago to go, okay, yeah, after going through it a few times, like, okay, now I get it. But imagine going to a seller who's not in real estate and explaining this to them, and they're going toe to toe, you're going toe to toe with another agent that has not bringing this up, kind of dazzles them with some knowledge, dazzles them with some things that you can do to win that listing, to show them you kind of know the mathematical analysis of what's happening in the market with things that are on for sale and things that just sold in the last 30 days. And you could do that again. I like, depending upon how many sales there are, if there was this many sales, yes, I'd go 30 days, but you could go back 2 months, 3 months, 6 months. The absorption rate could, depending upon how many sales there are. If there's there's 10 active sales right now and only 2 sold in the last 3 months, you might want to go over the last 4 months. But again, case by case, we could go through that. Number 2 is list price to sale price ratio. So this in our MLS. Debbie, do we have in our MLS? I know I'm not in there every day. We have something that shows that automatically, or do you have to figure that out? I know there's some reports in the MLS that can
There
do this.
absolutely is. Yeah. This is a formula in case you want to be a wizard with math and do it yourself, but you have an in working with the MLS now because you can go right to the statistics tab and you can find all kinds of stuff. But this is like just one of the ones that most people want to know. Well, what was the list price and what did it sell at? Because everyone feels like they're an expert in our field, right? And they're all telling you, oh my God, everything is selling for over market value and they're getting tens of thousands of dollars over and I can't afford that and none, right? So you go and you take the statistics off of the MLS and you print them out or you study them so that you can talk to people when you're out and about. Or if you're doing a listing presentation, you can give them the numbers of, well, this is the list price to the sale price ratio from last month. Or you can show them 6 months, or you can show them a year. You can show them all the way, I think it goes back to like 2017, or you could even go further than that and show them a range of things. A lot of people want to know what was happening in 2019 compared to what's happening now. I did run some numbers for that in Cuyahoga County, because that's where the majority of our agents are up here in Cuyahoga County. And our listings have actually gone up. We've had more listings in 2021 and even in the beginning of 2022 than we had in 2019. It's just they're selling very quickly. So that goes back to the absorption rate, because the absorption rate is telling you how much inventory we don't have. So this is something that you can use to get those listings. We have to get the listings back into our system. And the more that people go for that higher price, the more the listing is going to stay on the market. So it's better for your buyers.
Exactly. And it shows them that you're watching the market. You don't have to show them, hey, I clicked the button and got it.
Yeah.
You could cut and paste. You don't have to put it in your presentation, look like it's right off the MLS, like right off the MLS, because some sellers understand that we all have access to this. So I highly recommend that you do things that you don't, it's not right off the MLS. So they don't see that. And then that's where our listing presentation, Century 21 Homestar agents, our listing presentations pull the data from the MLS, but don't show that this is from the MLS and like, a print report on that. Because I've seen agents back in the day before we had all of the bells and whistles with listing presentations and customized CMAs, was that you just print the MLS forms and show them that. So when you do that, it kind of shows you, well, I'm just printing stuff off of a system. But here, example one shows that a price is final sale price of $500,000 and the list price is 520, shows that the house are selling a little bit less than asking price on average. And the second one is what we see a little bit more often. The list price is 490,000, sold for 500. Then it's about 102% of what's going on there. And you'll be surprised because it's kind of like a lot of agents are remembering and hearing the stories of the crazy ones, like, oh my God, that sold for $50,000 more. And that one sold for, 75 or 25. They're remembering the stories of the crazy higher ones, but there are still ones that are at list price or just a little bit. So if you look at the total statistics of a certain area or city, it's really not as high. Yes, they're going over asking in general, but not as crazy overall in the market too. Number 3, percentage of sold listings. So how many sold, the amount of in a whole area, in a whole county, in a whole market, you could see how many listings are on there. So you could show people like, hey, the one example, 1,200 listings taken last year in this city or in this county or in this market, and 780 sold last year. That's basically 65% of all listings sold. So you can really go into depth about this by area or city. I always say, I've never seen a listing that didn't sell, but it's what time and what price. So you go on the MLS in any market, there's going to be houses and properties that take years to sell just because of what there are. There are always going to be houses for sale. Never seen a market with nothing for sale.
Right. Yep.
And I don't think you have either, Debbie, with that. But
Nope.
this kind of shows that percentage of how many have sold. And if you haven't looked into the MLS to see some of these reports, please, it's very interesting to see and follow them and really know what's happening in our market on that. And then we'll go with the fourth one here. Understanding the data. Have you been on any of these websites with any agents recently, Debbie?
Not with the agents, but I do look at them myself. So the one I don't have on here is your local MLS, obviously, but you can get a lot of data from NAR. They have a ton of data on there. The housingwire.com, I haven't used that one, but if you want to know what the mortgage interest rates are, go to this website, because everybody thinks that they're, again, well, I'm just listening to what I hear on TV. Be the expert. Now, obviously, we're not the expert in mortgage, but you can get the rates. Well, here's the rates. They're probably going to vary from 4.5 to 5 right now. I did hear tell that it may go up to 6 by the end of the year, but that's still good. It's still good. We
Right.
were at like around 6 when we crashed,
Yeah.
so we're still good.
Oh, definitely. And also, I mean, people today, if they're thinking about selling their house before they even call an agent, they're doing their own little research, or either, hey, they're thinking about selling soon. They're going to either listen more and watch the TV more. When you are thinking about doing something or going somewhere or buying something, all of a sudden your brain just unconsciously start listening and watching for that stuff. Like, you've ever got a new car, all of a sudden you're driving your new car, now everywhere you look is your new car. Everybody else has it because now you're paying attention. So same with sellers. So what I mean by that, and the point I'm getting to, is that you have to have some of this knowledge. If they tell you something that they're hearing, if you don't have something to agree with it or disagree with it, or give them your insight or what your thoughts are, then that, again, that shows that you're an expert. And I use this example, but it's a bad example. Like, I think doctors today probably hate it that we have all this access to, things online, and we all think, oh, I must have this, I must have that. And they're diagnosing themselves before they go in the doctor. But if you go into the doctor and you say, I think I have this rash over here, and they say, I have no clue what you're talking about, and you start running off all the things that possibly can be, you're like, I think I'm losing faith in my doctor. They've never seen this before. They don't even know what I'm talking about. So bad example, but similar to you. If someone's telling you what's happening in the market, like my neighbor sold his house down the street, if you don't walk into that listing appointment, know about that sale and what at least the basic information, list price, the sale price, time on the market, especially if it's right next door, to like, oh, I don't know about that sale. How is that going to look that you're an expert in that market if they're telling you things that are happening on that? Also, be prepared to dazzle them with stuff and with things. Like an example, they might see just sale price, but they didn't know there's 2 houses that sold in the market, and go, wow, this one over here, God, my neighbor over here sold for 25,000 over asking. This one over here sold for exactly what they're asking for. And if you kind of did the research and looked in the pictures and the description and kind of, made a mental note and say, well, your neighbor over here, this house, they you probably didn't realize they finished the basement. Or I know, you don't tell them, well, I just looked 2 minutes ago, but I know the market, and that house over there had this, and that house over here had that, and they didn't have this, so you have to have some information for people to dazzle them with this. And these 4 things will definitely dazzle them. And then I like to use the NAR statistics because it's just nationwide on there, and you could quote it or give it a little book, footnotes, like, oh, I got this basically from the National Association of Realtors. So NAR.realtor is a great website. I think it's still going to the same location. It used to be NAR.org, but I think this is the new web address. So if anybody, if I've given you the old web address, this should be the new one on that. So again, we all want to it's all specific to the listing you're going to. It's all specific to the data that's there. So when I train agents on comparative market analysis and this data, I really start with how much time do you want to spend? Because there's really unlimited amount of time. Like example, if you're going to a listing appointment and there's 5 other houses for sale like this, maybe you should spend some time at least online and going through those so you could explain what's happening, what the ones are for sale, and even go preview those. So one of the things I tell agents to do, especially our newer agents that might not be that busy yet, start previewing houses, become an expert in your market. I know this market, houses selling fast in some of the areas. Listing agents hate hearing about previews and taking up a possible buyer, but you have a right to go in there. You might have a buyer, you want to go see it. We used to have to do this all the time. So become an expert in your area. Every time a new listing goes on, make an appointment to preview it. And so you're knowledgeable about what's happening, or at least if there are lots of pictures, just don't click through them, kind of make notes like, okay, this house is this house is that. So when you run into the people and you're talking to potential sellers, you know that. Again, back to that doctor example. Yeah, the doctor could go back in his office or her office and start looking up stuff, but you rather them kind of know it before looking it up.
Yeah, right. Exactly. So even if you can't remember everything, just even if you take a little bit from this and just start with one thing and get proficient with that in your area, you're still going to be much more knowledgeable than the other guy. Chances are, you guys, that other agents are not being that thorough because they don't feel like they have to, especially in this market. They know that the house is going to sell, so they just want to get the listing. They don't care. You guys should care because it's building that relationship again. Oh my God, my agent from Century 21 Homestar, they were so knowledgeable and they sold my house in 3 days.
Right. And also every agent that's been in the business for a little bit has lost listings that they thought they had, and they didn't do all of this. What I mean by that, sometimes you have friends, relatives, direct referrals. You think it's a slam dunk, like, oh, they call me to list their house, and you do very basic listing presentation and telling you what you're doing because you're not going into all this because you think it's a slam dunk. I'm going to get this listing. Right. And all of a sudden they decide not to. Because you didn't ask if they're interviewing other agents, or they weren't going to interview other agents, but something happened. They started telling one of their friends or family, oh no, you got to go through this agent, and they interview them and they do all of this. So don't do a half listing presentation. Don't do half the work. Don't cut it short because you think you got the listing no matter what. Because I know there's agents out, you know why, Debbie, we know this, because we don't do enough listing presentation training, right? Not too many people are asking. Right. I mean, the agents are asking, but not enough are asking. And we can see in our system how many people are using it, because I think, which is still good, it's a good sign that people, if they know you and trust you, they're going to use you no matter what. So there are agents, and many of our agents get listings without even doing a presentation, because that's how much their potential sellers like them and trust them. They don't even ask for any of this. So any agent listening to this, like, yes, there's several times I don't give them a listing presentation, but you never know which one is going to be the one that's going to do a little bit more research than there. I hear that story so many times. Like I've heard stories like, oh, this is, my best friend, Judy, her and her husband are selling the house, and we'll go in there and thinking their best friend's going to use them. Didn't know the husband had a best friend that's an agent too. And that one did all of this. So next, education opportunities. You want to go through this of what's coming up?
So we have July up here now, because this is just for Hush and Mike, mind you. You can find other continuing education classes on ACAR, on Elgar. Check your local board for those. But Mike's doing the Be the Rockstar Agent by Doing 15 Things. He did this a couple years ago. I did go to that class. It's really interesting. You can learn a lot of stuff. his tips and tricks, you guys, how he got to be so successful. So you really, if you can, go and listen to this one. It's really good. He also does in August, DocuSign, an easy alternative to dot loop. So a lot of you know that we do have dot loop with the office. There are, you know, prerequisites that you have to do to get into those. You can call me, we can get into that stuff, but he uses DocuSign. He likes it, so he'll teach you the difference between the two. Hash, and you get continuing education credit for that, so that's a good one. Hash has laws, which everyone needs to know. That's going to be his usual Thursday at 8 a.m. on July 7th. So that's probably the law class for this session. And Mike's are Saturdays, by the way. He changed to Saturday mornings for you guys because a lot of people can't make it during the week. So he has graciously given us a couple Saturdays out of his time this year to help you guys with your education there. The other education opportunity that's not on here that I just found out we're getting ready to roll is with Moxie. So if you haven't seen the newsletter for this month that came out from Century 21, all you have to do is go to your 21online.com, go to your productivity hub and click on the little tiles that say Moxie, Engage, and Present, and all of those, and go through the training. If you click on the Engage one first, it's going to ask you to create a login and a password, and then you can get in there and start taking the training. This is going to become live real soon, and you guys are going to love this program. It's great.
And next meeting, June 16th. Hey, that's my birthday, and I still will be here.
That one's going to be 3 seconds to a first
I
impression.
know,
We're going
that's
to
what
talk about you
that's
and how you can impress people.
Right. And last thing today, just the last minute, is that Father's Day. Every holiday that's is a potential opportunity for you to reach out to people to wish them a happy Father's Day, connect with them. I mean, agents all the time ask, you know, I don't feel comfortable calling people too often, or you can't over wish someone holidays. You know, hope you had a great 4th of July. Hope you had a great Memorial Day. Hope you spent time with family. Have a, you know, especially if you know someone's a father, you know, happy Father's Day. So send minimum, send them a text, something, so you could really shoot down almost your whole database. And when it's a holiday, doesn't matter if you just talked to them 2 days ago. If it's someone's birthday and you talked to someone 2 days ago, you're still going to wish them a happy birthday. That's how holidays are. Just wish them a happy holiday, especially when they're holidays, when they're going to spend time with family or friends or have the day off of their job or things like that. So use these opportunities, all these holidays. So you know, the United States did a great job making sure there's holidays in almost every month.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
You'll almost get a hold of everybody every month for something out there. And then you throw Hallmark holidays and you got some more holidays to throw in there too. So, but that's it for today. Anything else to share, Debbie? Or
nope, that's all I have for now. Just don't forget you can use social media as well for your Father's Day posts and everything, and make sure you got it branded so that they know that you're with Homestar. It gets you free advertising.
Exactly. So that's it for today. Thanks for watching, everybody. We will see you next Thursday. Have a good one. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.